Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're going to talk about some under-the-radar players, some sleepers, whatever you want to call it. We got two players each that are either ranked beyond the top 50 at receiver or top 40 at running back that we like. We think there's an opportunity for them this season. I'm not going to say, hey, they're going to set the world on fire necessarily, but we think there's some good opportunity, and this will be a good later round pick. Things could change. We're still not even. We're like 4.5 months away from drafts. That's not that far.
No.
4.5 months, it's not. But all right, we got two players each. Let's get into this, Jeff. Who's your first one?
The first guy that I want to talk about is a running back, and that is going to be Trey Sermon of the 49ers. We talked about him just recently on another podcast because of Elijah Mitchell, but he is currently ranked as the 52nd running back, which seems pretty darn low. Mm-hmm. Currently, he is, depending on where you're looking, he is still considered the fourth on the depth chart of that 49ers roster.
Yeah, is he really, though?
Yeah, I don't think he is. I do believe Elijah Mitchell is ahead of him, but that is okay. They use a lot of running backs. More than likely, they're going to have Trey Sermon, which is going to be a second-year QB. They're going to need to establish the run. They've always used, multiple running backs, and Mostert's finally gone. The other two guys technically ahead of him right now is Jeff Wilson, with which they just signed to a one-year deal, not anything huge. I think he is definitely more to make sure they have depth. And JaMycal Hasty, who hasn't really done anything with it yet. Trey Sermon happens to be the highest draft pick they used on a running back out of any of these guys. So I do think Trey Sermon will work his way to second on that depth chart. And because he's such a bruising running back, I'm hoping that they use him around the goal line, which I think would just elevate him to a different level where he wouldn't necessarily have to have the bulk of the shares that a lot of these other guys do. His numbers weren't bad. They weren't overly impressive. I wasn't a huge fan of him last year, but I do think having 1 year under his belt in the NFL is going to help. And I have heard his coaches speak highly of him and say, hey, he just needed to learn a few things. His running style wouldn't really work in the NFL, but we still are very high on him. And last year he had 41 rushes, so not a lot of work. 167 yards, that is 4.1 yards per carry. Not terrible. I mean, it was serviceable, and he only had one touchdown. He didn't get enough work for me to feel like he was a bust. So I think this is a high upside pick that you can get relatively late, who people were just, going crazy over last year. I think this is the time to finally get him.
Yeah. I'm an Elijah Mitchell fan. I like him. I think his opportunity's there, but my hesitation, like I said on the last show, is Trey Sermon. Like, I don't think he looked bad when he played. He was a good player in college. I think there's an opportunity there. And if you're looking for players down the list, like he's definitely one of them for sure that you're going to look at and think, okay, maybe this is going to be the guy I go after, right? And I think there's little risk to it, especially if you do get Mitchell. Why not throw Trey Sermon on the end of your bench? It can't hurt. It can't hurt at all to just see what you got in him, I guess, right? So yeah, I like the pick. All right, so my first one, I don't think you're gonna like this one as much.
Okay.
You'd probably be like, okay, whatever. I'm going with Jamison Crowder. See, boring, right?
A little bit, but maybe not bad.
So Jamison Crowder, I don't have his current rank in here. I know it's beyond the top 50, right? But he just signed with Buffalo. That's the key here. He just signed with Buffalo. No more Cole Beasley. No more Emmanuel Sanders. So it's Stephon Diggs. It's Gabe Davis, who was awesome in the playoffs, right? And they still, Dawson Knox. But Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders both had a lot of opportunity on that team last year. And that's going to go somewhere. They're going to throw the ball out. Do you think, is this team running the ball very much? No, they can support another receiver. So I'm not saying Jamison Crowder is just going to be just massive numbers, but you can definitely see him being that guy who's going to just be Josh Allen's going to get him the ball. He would get Cole Beasley the ball. He would get Emmanuel Sanders the ball. He's going to get the ball to Jamison Crowder. That's just what Jamison Crowder does. This might be more, again, like I always say, Jamison Crowder is more PPR, right? he's going to get that 7 for 70, maybe 8 for 70, maybe 9 for 60. I don't know, but he's going to rack up the catches. And I think he's going to be a good option here in a great offense. This will be interesting to see how the guy can play. He's always been like borderline fantasy relevant. You know what I mean? Like he's just always he's always there. He's never completely out of the conversation. I swear to God, this guy's, how many times is Jamison Crowder like on our waiver wire list as one of those, Jamison Crowder, like you can pick up him. Do we want to? I don't know. But he's been playing for the Jets and Washington. It's never been exciting. This is different. If he can really play, this will be the time to show it here. And we'll get. I'm interested to see. You know, he's not played on good teams, so he's always performed pretty well. The last, his first year with the Jets, 78 catches, 833 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's not a bad team, and he did that. So I'm really curious to see what he can do here. So
I like that. It's kind of a hot take. I like that. I worry his forte is obviously in the middle of the field and kind of shorter routes, so he doesn't usually get a ton of yardage. But on a good offense, I don't know if that will hold with all these weapons around him. So I think that is an interesting pick to pick a guy that is a proven wide receiver and that goes to a very good team.
I think he's just more under the radar because it's Jamison Crowder. It's not interesting. And sometimes maybe not interesting can help you win. Doesn't have to always be flashy. You get him if you're playing like a 3-receiver league and you throw him at that third spot and he's just going to get you some points every week and you're not thinking about it. I don't know. I like it. I think it's an interesting pickup. So Jamison Crowder. And I'm pulling up where he's ranked right now, and I can't find it, of course.
He's going to be pretty low.
Probably. Unless he moved up since I did it. But, oh, well, if he did, I'm not too worried about it. Can't find him. He's probably just not even, who knows where he is, right?
Yeah.
So, Jamison Crowder. All right.
Cool.
Who's your next one? Oh, he's 83rd.
83rd. There we go. That's healthy. So the other guy I'm going to talk about, and we're going to go outside the top 50 for wide receiver. I couldn't pass this guy up. He's not, he's ranked 54th right now as a wide receiver, but I think he has some of the biggest upside that we're going to see this year. Is Ronald Moore. He's on the Cardinals. Them getting rid of Kirk opens up the pathway to him having huge numbers if he learned anything from his rookie season, which he is lightning in a bottle. He has so much upside as far as athletic ability. He's a shorter wide receiver, but you can use him in all sorts of ways. And if you're going to put him in the slot, this guy could be so dangerous with someone like Kyler Murray, who, you have to worry about him running as well. This guy, it was only 2 years ago, but when he was going into the draft, he ran, I think it was unofficial, so you take it with a grain of salt, but sub 4.3. Like, he is that fast. And he is incredibly strong. He kind of reminds me of Eckler in a way, where because he's a shorter guy, you don't understand how freakish they are. And this guy really is it. And if you're looking at the depth chart right now, it is so wide open because you have DeAndre Hopkins, who is obviously an amazing wide receiver, but he's getting a little bit older and he got banged up last year. And then who else do you really have? I mean, AJ Green, is he back?
I think he's gone. I think he's gone, yeah.
Other than that, he is the guy. I mean, right now he's slotted to start at the slot, which I think would be a great place for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the number 2 at this point.
Yeah. So they probably will add someone, I would assume, but it's not going to touch him. And I think that's what's so amazing about it. And with that offense, too, I think that it kind of fits his I think on another team, I wouldn't be as high on him because I'd be like, they're going to just see a short wide receiver. You know what I mean?
Right.
But here, they can really get creative and get him the ball. So Ronald Moore, I'm very excited to see what he ends up doing.
Yeah, I like Ronald Moore. I was a fan of him heading into the draft last year. I just got his an autographed rookie card of his. So
did you?
Yeah, I'd really like him to break out. That'd be even better. Give me a couple dollars there. So I'd be really happy to see that. But no, I like Ronald Moore a lot. I like that pick. If he stays down there in the ranks, that's going to be a guy that's going to be on a few of my teams for sure.
And just to show even what he did last year, it was good to see him get a little bit of work. In 14 games, he started 7 of them, but he had 64 targets go his way, caught 54 of them, 435 yards, and he only had 1 touchdown. So, and he had 18 rushes for 76 yards. So they were already trying to get him involved in different ways. He didn't really have any too big of breakout games. But if you think about all the weapons that were on that team, and then Kyler Murray getting hurt kind of late, it capped it a little bit. So this is shaping up to be beautiful.
All right, let's go with my next pick. And I went with, this one could change, but I went with Alan Lazard. He's currently 59th, and you got to think Green Bay's going to add something, right? They're going to draft somebody. They have to. Obviously, they have to. Worst case is they have to draft somebody. In reality, who knows? They might add Julio or Jarvis Landry. They might add somebody, right? But as of now, they don't. It's Alan Lazard. It's Randall Cobb. It's Juwan Winfrey. It's Amari Rodgers. That's their depth chart right now. Alan Lazard. If that stayed, which we all know, they have to add somebody, right?
Yeah.
They have to. But if they didn't, Alan Lazard jumps. And either way, I think worst case Lazard is there. I think he's probably there too. And he's going to get opportunity. And Aaron Rodgers is going to make it work, I feel like, in a fantasy relevant way. Maybe it won't be great for their team. I don't know how that's going to play out, but man, it's so weird that Aaron Rodgers comes back and no Devontae Adams. I don't know what's going on, but it could benefit Alan Lazard a lot. And at 59 right now, if you're getting the Green Bay Packers top receiver, obviously that's comically low. If they don't add anybody, he'll jump quite a bit, but he's still not going to jump like forever. He's not going to be way up there. I could see him. I don't know how high can you see Alan Lazard getting if he's the guy? He can't be. I just keep saying this. There's no way. But if he was, 30.
Even I was gonna say, even if he was the number one overall guy, I think he goes high 20s.
All right, best, yeah, right. But he, as of now, in the 50s, I'm gonna take a shot at that. See what happens there. I'm curious what they're gonna do. They have to draft somebody.
You think they might even? Maybe you sign a Julio, maybe like a Band-Aid player. I looked at he does have all the opportunity in the world, and you think I do believe that whoever ends up there Aaron Rodgers will make sure it works. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like even with Devontae Adams, you had 3 years of being the 2 or 3, working your way up there, and you only end up with 35 receptions, 33 and 40. Last year he had 8 touchdowns. He was starting to kind of come on a little bit. I don't know if I see that for him, but if
someone's gonna have to do it.
Someone does.
Well, here's
either that or I'm just gonna draft both of their running backs because
if it's Julio, they sign. What's to say Julio can do it?
How many games can he actually play?
How many games can he play? Has he hit the cliff? Remember what happened to Andre Johnson? That seems to be where all of a sudden Andre Johnson couldn't play anymore. Calvin was about to get there. Calvin had
any large wide receiver. Yeah. Even Rodney White to a certain extent. Yeah, I agree with you. And the only thing that is, I do feel like he is going to be, here's my worst nightmare for Alan Lazard. I agree with you in principle, but there's so many good wide receivers that are pretty decent. We don't really know who's a standout. We just think that there's 10 and you're I think all of them can play a little bit. They draft a rookie wide receiver and then they add someone like Julio. And then Lazard is technically the number 1 or 2, but because of that, teams know how to play him. And then the rookie and Julio split the rest, and Alan Lazard ends up again with, he jumps up to 50, 60 receptions, but you end up with that 700 yards and 3 touchdowns, and you're in middle land again.
If all the Packers do is draft a receiver in the first or second round, is there ever going to have been a higher ranked rookie receiver in fantasy football than that guy? It's going to get ridiculous.
It will get pretty crazy.
It's going to get nuts.
Well, if he had a bigger name, maybe. I was going to say.
Depends on who it is.
But there's no real big names.
There's good players.
No. I do. I like a bunch of them.
If it was Burks or one of the Ohio State receivers.
London or, giving him one of the speedsters would be really interesting. That would really amp it up. If they got a Wilson. Or even Olave. But, there's a lot. Actually, know who would be great? I was starting to get into the whole wide receiver thing, and I'm going to forget his name. He was from, I believe, North Dakota. Christian something. Wow. That's really
Christian Watson.
Thank you, Christian Watson. He is tall, he is fast, and because
he's moving up the boards, it seems like.
Because he came from a smaller school, I think people are sleeping on him a little bit too much. He feels perfect for Green Bay, and I do think that guy can play right away. I think there's a bunch of them that can play right away, but I like the speed. I like the size. I like all of them. And they don't have to get him in the first round, which I don't think they want to do anyway because they're Green Bay.
Christian Watson, 6'4", 208, 4.36 40.
Yeah, watch for that guy. And I think he was depending on where you're looking, he's still ranked like the 8th best wide receiver. And I'm like, watch out for that guy.
He's an interesting one, that's for sure. That's he's I think going up the boards too. We'll see where he goes.
Yeah, we should have an episode soon about pre-draft and get into that because that is really fun to watch. And I would love to know your thoughts because we haven't really talked about this as I look to a camera. But we haven't really talked about it, but like I think there's going to be a lot of wide receiver discussion. Mm-hmm. And then the running back discussion is going to be even more hilarious because we're like, no idea.
Yeah.
All depends on where they land.
100%. Those guys are going to depend on spot.
It's going to be about 5 Clyde Edwards-Helaire being like, who's going to fall.
I haven't even thought about what the spot could be that would even benefit. This year, there's some
not
years,
that many.
Right? Usually there's like a spot you're like, okay, these guys, they're getting a running back and it's going to be huge. I don't know what that is right now.
No, I feel like a lot of depth picks.
Yeah.
Like Denver, if they don't get Melvin Gordon, they could grab one, but who wants to be behind Javonte?
That's going to be interesting. I don't really see that spot right now. I mean, off the top of my head, we look at it more. There might be. I might be missing something right now, but I'm just not.
There was really no
Buffalo, I guess.
No, I don't want to.
But I know what I mean. Like they're the only ones that like don't have like they're the only like good team that I can think of that doesn't have like the guy.
Yeah, well, man, you would just add him. He would be useless on that team.
I don't know if they'd even look at that, but I'm just trying to think of.
Even if he ended up number 1, we've seen what happens. With Singletary and Moss. Your number 1 running back is your quarterback.
Yeah, it's true. You wouldn't really want that.
Actually, does Baltimore?
It's Dobbins and Edwards hopefully coming back both.
I know, but they're both coming off injury. I mean, that would be an interesting
Everyone's
one.
Coming off
we'll
injury
find out.
That team.
Everyone is.
All right.
No, how can I? It is bothering me. We can't think of one good landing spot. I'm sure it'll come to me as soon as we end. But
yeah, I'm usually there's for sure something. Oh yeah, look at some of the teams here. Like we said, Buffalo, New England, no. Dolphins, no. Jets, no. Bengals, no. Steelers, no. Browns, no. Ravens, probably not. Tennessee, no. Colts, no. Texans wouldn't be a good landing spot. They need a guy, but it's not a good landing spot.
It's bad.
Jacksonville, no. You wouldn't think.
No, because ETN's coming back.
Chiefs, no. They just signed Ronald Jones, too. Raiders, no. Chargers, no. Well, I mean, they could add somebody with Eckler, I guess, but
you're not the guy.
Broncos, no. I mean, would be with Javonte. They're probably going to re-sign Melvin Gordon.
I would think, which is actually going to really hurt Javonte's.
Cowboys, no. It's Zeke and Pollard. Eagles, maybe.
Yeah, Eagles would be a good landing spot.
Eagles,
actually.
Yeah, because if they draft somebody, that means they're probably signaling Miles Sanders isn't. They're not believing.
He's not cutting it. Yeah.
Commanders, no.
No.
Giants, no. Packers, no. Vikings, no. Bears wouldn't mean.
No.
They could add somebody, but
but Montgomery's going to get
Lions, no. Bucks, they could add somebody because
Fournette's
Jones just left,
and Fournette's getting older. Yeah.
So they could add somebody, but again, that's not a spot where you're like, okay, again, there's no slot them in. Like this is awesome. Saints, I guess it all depends on Alvin Kamara.
I forgot about that because of Kamara's particular
if there's more
situation.
stuff happens, which it's been very silent.
Yeah, I don't feel good about that one.
No, Falcons would not be. The Falcons could use a guy, but I just don't.
Also, you have too many places. Like you let Cordero Patterson just run himself ragged.
No. Panthers, no. Rams, probably not. That would indicate that they don't think Akers can do it.
They have Akers and Henderson, and they could re-sign Sonny
Cardinals. They only have James Conner. So they could get somebody, but James Conner's there. So again, it's not a spot where you're the guy. No, you're in a thing. San Francisco, I don't see it. And Seattle, they could get somebody, but it's not a good spot.
They just signed Penny, right?
They re-signed Penny, and so there's not like, man, this will be a whole episode, but there's not this spot that I can see anybody going unless there's there's not a lot. Philadelphia is probably the best of what I saw there.
No, and running backs don't get paid anymore. If you're one of these running backs that are coming out this year, you have to be like, I mean, you're super psyched. Don't get me wrong. Like, you have a great life opportunity coming, but you do have to be like, dang, like, I am like 3 years too late. I should have been a
wide receiver.
Yeah.
That could be Christian Kirk level and be getting insane money. Like,
I still can't get over that. I really can't.
Marcus Valdez-Scantling, his deal? What he got with the Chiefs?
No. But the Chiefs, why would they pay?
Let's see. What was that? What did that contract end up being? 3 years, $30 million.
Dude, why is that? That's like because they did who was it? Same team. Zay Jones. He had a very similar contract to that. It was about $10 million a year for 3 or 4. And you're kind of like, those guys do not deserve $10 million a year.
Wide receivers, man. It's who gets paid now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I'm them, like, this is one of those where why not draft 2 wide receivers this year if you already, like,
who knows, man?
You don't need any more. Like, man.
I don't know. All right, there we go. That'll do it. Talk to you guys next time.